Hi, I'm Chris Kyme and I'm a creative director and I've worked in Hong Kong and Asia for over 30 years. Today I've got my own creative agency called Kyme Chow, so I'm still very involved in the industry. I've worked on many brands during my career. If I think about some of the Hong Kong brands I've worked on, I would say things like Tom Lee Music, Saatchi Leather, San Miguel, Dairy Farm, Hong Kong Land. There are many, just to name a few. Moments in my career. Having a job interview in London to come and work in Hong Kong, which I accepted, which changed the course of my life. Shooting the Tom Lee Music Yamaha commercial, where I met a young account executive lady who later became my wife. I was in Singapore for a few years and I was voted Ad Man of the Year in Singapore, so that's quite memorable to me, for my contributions to training of young people. And having a book published which is called Made in Hong Kong, which is a history of creative work in Hong Kong. So seeing that on the bookshelf once it was released was a big moment for me. Well, I've been fortunate to work with some really great people in my time in Asia, and I would say Leonie Key was a big influence on me. She was my boss at Grey, and I learned a lot from her. I learned about respect and the importance of client relationships. Ben Barnes, who was the managing director, who taught me to grow up from being a young creative into a manager, teaching me about leadership, about business, and so on. So he's someone that I definitely was inspired by. One of my favourite clients ever was a man called Edwin Chan, who was the boss of Wally. So if you remember Wally Paper, Wally Carpet, and Edwin was a great guy to work with. He understood creative, he wanted good creative, and he stood back to let it happen. And very much I enjoyed working with him. And Wildy Ng. Wildy was the first local creative to ever be promoted to executive creative director of an international agency. So he was a great inspiration to many young local creatives. At J. Walter Thompson, produced some of the great campaigns that we all remember, and went on to become a very successful film director. And I still meet with him today, and I'm still inspired by him today. He's crazy as ever. If I think of memorable campaigns, well, there are some that are dear to my heart that I worked on. So, for example, the Tom Lee Music campaign with the famous Yamaha commercial, Saatchi Leather Goods with the Italian Anna. And when I first came here, I did a campaign for Hong Kong Land called Centres of Central, which got a lot of acclaim in the industry. And that was really kind of like my arrival in Hong Kong, because it won quite a few awards. But thinking back on some of the great Hong Kong campaigns, you know, Solville Titus comes to mind, those beautiful commercials shot by David Choi with Anita Moy and with Chow Yun-fat. Beautiful, unique work. Optical 88, you know, beautiful campaign, and HSBC, Hong Kong Bank, the beautiful campaign in black and white that was done over the years. So these are some of the things that I really looked up to and admired during my time. Well, let me talk a little bit about the industry today, and I'll be honest, I don't think it's a great time for creativity in Hong Kong at the moment. Some people ask me why I think that is. When I was doing the book, Made in Hong Kong, which I did with my friend Tommy Zheng, who was from account servicing background, we interviewed many of the people that made those years special and all that work special. And Harry Reid, who was instrumental in building the Ogilvy network in Asia, he told us that in the old days it was the clients who pushed the agencies for better creative. You know, they were demanding better quality work. And I think that's significant, and I think that's something to think about today. But of the people we interviewed, you know, there were many qualities they had that were similar. And I would say that leadership and passion were important. So people like Jeffrey Yu, you know, who was a great agency leader, Ruby Tang, who worked in the agencies but also became a client and was always behind good work. And some of the great creatives like CC Tang, Wildy, Stanley Wong, Iris Lowe, Spencer Wong. These are the people that I saw and grew up with over the years, and they were the rising generation of local creatives that brought the work up. I think we need to think about that today. So I think that two words come to mind: leadership and training. Leaders, because we're the ones who can make it happen by focusing on quality and focusing on creativity. I think that it should be more than just about who can get it done cheaply or too much focus on KOLs and celebrities. Creative ideas and strategies are the key to everything. Training, because we need to instill this in the coming generations and teach them the right way to do things so that we can start looking towards a generation who are going to be like those heroes of the past. This is what I think we should be focusing on. Hong Kong should stand for quality, and we should be working hard together to give it a brighter future in creative. So I'd like to wrap up by saying congratulations to the HK2As on celebrating 60 years. That's a long time, and not many organizations can survive through all the challenges and ups and downs that we've seen in Hong Kong. So stick together, work together, and here's to the next 60 years. And I'm happy to help in any way that I can. Thank you.